Good morning. This section of the presentation will focus on the program's monitoring process and tools. Today, you will hear from myself, Sheree Olivis, as well as the program specialist on the team, Andrea Stevens, as well as Terrence Hale. Today, we will focus on the following items: the PY20 monitoring, including our internal process, as well as important dates to make note of, changes among the monitoring tools, process on conducting on-site interviews, submission of missing documentation, and lastly, our pre-exit call process. Now, I will turn it over to Andrea Stevens.
Thanks, Sheree. The bulk of the monitoring process takes place in the 2 weeks leading up to the on-site visit. 2 weeks before the on-site monitoring visit, the program specialist will submit the sample selections pulled from WorkSource Georgia portal to the LWDA via either the WorkSource Georgia portal or via email. Typically, these samples are sent to the director and the program manager. The Monday before the on-site visit, or 1 week out, the program specialist will schedule the on-site monitoring interviews. An email will be sent to the director identifying the individuals who will need to be interviewed during the monitoring week, who are the director, the program manager, case manager, and the one-stop operator. They will need to complete a doodle poll to sign up for their interviews, and the interviews will be confirmed via email by the program specialist no later than the Wednesday before monitoring. Using the program administration tool, the program specialist will conduct a review of the LWDA's policies, procedures, and contracts during this week as well. If there are missing policies, contracts, and/or procedures, the program specialist will reach out to the LWDA to obtain the necessary items. Some of the policies and contracts that are reviewed are the WEX policy and contract template, the OJT policy and contract template, the supportive services policy, and the confidentiality and security policy. The preliminary review and file records preparation must be completed no later than 2 business days prior to the on-site review by the program's monitoring team or the program specialist. And this file records review is conducted using the youth tool, the adult and dislocated worker tool. If there is missing documentation that is needed, the program specialist will submit a spreadsheet detailing the missing items. This spreadsheet is submitted to the LWDA no later than noon on the Friday before the on-site visit. And now I will turn it over to Programs Manager Sheree Olivis.
Thank you, Andrea. So now we'll go over our monitoring tools and the changes that you will see. So overall, our monitoring tools have a similar format and content as previous years. However, we have changed our tools to begin the first phase of our transition to quality assurance approach. For the youth tool, we will no longer be looking for only the presence of documents, but the actual completion in accordance to local and state policy. More specifically, the objective assessment, the individual service strategy, the supportive service request forms, follow-ups, etc. Very similar with the adults and dislocated workers. In addition to those items I previously mentioned, we will also again be looking for the completion of the self-sufficiency, which should be completed prior to training, as well as the unlikely to return to work form. So again, looking for the completion of those in accordance with state and local policy. Completion of the IEPs as well. I strongly recommend, if you and your staff have not viewed our career services assessment training earlier this year, that's a good place to start regarding what we will be looking for. In regards to the National Dislocated Worker Grant, we will monitor those case files in addition to the regular amount of dislocated worker files that you will receive. So you will receive youth case files, dislocated worker case files, adult case files, and then that's a fourth pool, which will be the NDWG grant. So again, you want to ensure all the corresponding documents are uploaded in the WorkSource Georgia portal. We have made significant changes to our interview tool regarding changes in the questions to learn more about the LWDA's process and practices, as well as areas of training for the LWDAs. So we truly use this data to collect and plan for trainings through the WorkSource Academy, similar to the training that you're watching today. So we advise staff to be as open and honest as possible. Lastly, the program admin tool. We advise that you visit our policy tracker changer, which is available online, and note any guidance or policy that has been released in the previous program's years, and ensure that all of your policies are updated. More importantly, that you submit with the data request the correct policies. Last year, we had different times where we went through the whole entire program admin tool, just to find out that maybe you all submitted last year's or outdated policies. So again, that just takes our staff time away to redo those. So just ensure that the tools and the policies that you're submitting to us are the most up to date. Next, I will turn it over to Terrence Hill.
Thank you, Cherie. On-site interviews is just part of the annual monitoring process. The interviews will allow us to review continued changes made toward the goal of WIO implementation, review success and opportunities for improvement, identify positive practices and share positive practices from other areas, and identify technical assistance needs. As mentioned on slide 4, 1 week before monitoring, the programs team will reach out to the LWDA, send in a doodle poll to schedule on-site monitoring interviews. This may change based on business needs and availability of staff. For convenience and comfort, we offer 2 types of interviews, face-to-face and virtual. LWDA and subrecipient staff people to be interviewed will let the interviewer know their desired interview type once the interview is scheduled. So those being interviewed based on the LWDA structure will be the one-stop operator, the director, or the LWDA or subrecipient program manager or case manager. Now I'd like to turn it back over to Cherie.
Thank you, Terrence. So this mission of missing documentation has not changed. All participant documentation must be uploaded into the WorkSource Georgia portal and will not be accepted in person while we're on site. My team has been directed to redirect local staff to upload those missing documentation items and alert us when they are done with that process. And this process is in place really to ensure data validation. So all of the required documentation is uploaded and accounted for, but also to prevent findings from the federal government when they also come down and monitor us. Lastly, deadlines, as Andrea Stephen mentioned on slide 4, have been formed to create this timeline based on what has worked in the previous years to ensure a timely closeout. And so we like to have that exit call on Friday as compliance will chat about. So all missing documentation must be uploaded and submitted by close of business on Wednesday. This allows us to account for all of those. Also, that will also be our last day on site. So that way you can talk to our staff regarding what findings are open, what missing documentation is still needed. And we ask that those items are submitted by close of business on Wednesday. Now, there is going to be flexibility with that if needed. However, you need to just let us know via email. So before we conclude, something I implemented last program year that seemed to be a fan favorite among our directors was our pre-exit conference call. And this typically happens Thursday prior to the exit call that compliance schedules on Friday. And really, this is an opportunity for myself and the program specialist that was assigned to monitor that area to talk with your staff regarding findings that we have found and really provide any additional TA that's needed regarding what we are asking to close out that finding, as well as where the area that caused the finding lied, and we can just chat that out if additional questions during that time. Well, we appreciate you all sitting in on this training. Again, the first or second slide had our WIOA programs email account. I'll mention it here again. That's WIOA programs with an S at tcsg.edu. And that's the best way to reach my staff or have any specific questions regarding monitoring. Thank you.